Hello.
And welcome.
It's the Graveyard Girls, a true crime and mysteries podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for another week.
Yes. Again, we don't know what to say.
No, we kind of try to plan it.
Yeah.
But then it gets to it and we're like, yeah, I don't know how to do the
No,
sentence. We write a note and then we're like, I know what I'm supposed to say, but I don't know how to put the sentence together. So this is the bit where we plug it and tell you how you can find us.
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Yes.
I think they're all connected, so if you find us on one,
you'll get us on the other. I mainly post on Instagram.
And the Instagram is the Graveyard Girls Podcast.
Yes.
And we also have our own website, which is graveyardgirls.co.uk.
Yeah, and you can find information about stuff on there, but also you can actually listen to our episodes through there.
And you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon,
Pocket Cast.
We're trying to get on everything.
Yeah.
We're on as many as we can at this point, but we hopefully are wherever you can listen. But like I said, we can listen on our own website. We also have a Patreon.
Yes. So if you want to go and support us over there, we have like a few different tiers.
A few tiers where you can just support the show and us, or you can get bonus episodes, or you can have merch.
Yes.
Yes.
And that will be expanding, hopefully, over the next few months. We're just, I don't know, we need maybe a bit of a kick up the arse with that one.
Yes.
We're kind of ready to go. We've got the ideas, we've got to put it all together and make a decision.
We have ideas, we have solutions. Like I said, we just need to kick ourselves up the bum.
Yes. So, hopefully you'll actually understand that. There's lots on Patreon. We've obviously got the Witch Trial season that finished the other week. That's all on there, the full season. But we also have other bonus episodes. We cover a bit of everything on that, really. It's mostly historical or sort of folklore-y.
They're still
myths.
Weird.
Yeah, and unusual. And a lot of it you probably haven't heard of before. But we've covered things like dangerous men in history, poison,
torture methods, if you want any ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But yeah, no, we've got a good mix of stuff on there, I think. So it's a bit different. I think we've tried to go for things that don't necessarily fit in with a mystery. It wasn't a direct mystery or an unsolved case necessarily, but we still wanted to cover them. So I know for mine, I've got quite a few history sort of related ones in there. I think we'll probably touch on some sciencey stuff as we go along as well. Yes. I think we're mainly using Patreon to throw everything in that doesn't fit in necessarily with our true crime.
Ones
mysteries.
That we like.
Yeah.
That others might find interesting.
Yeah. So, but like I said, it doesn't distract from the original podcast, but it doesn't necessarily fit in exactly with it. So,
and with this podcast, we do have some different ideas, and it will be slightly different over the next coming weeks. But
yeah, we're going to change it up a little bit because we've got a few ideas. We've just got to figure out how we're going to fit it in. So as soon as we know, I'll update the Instagram page.
Yeah.
And let everyone know. But yeah, got one of your cases.
We do.
For us today.
And this case links to my case last week.
Oh.
Of Elizabeth Báthory.
Okay.
But this one, I think she actually did it.
Oh, okay.
Unlike Báthory, which I think she was a conspiracy against her. So, but these two are compared to one another. Right,
oh, okay.
So I stumbled upon her when I was looking at the Báthory case.
Okay.
So, Darya Salykova was born March 11th, 1730. And she was raised in an affluent and noble family. And she was married young to Gleb Salykov. And so she became Darya Salykova. Okay. They had two sons, Theodore, who was born in 1750, and Nicholas, who was born in 1751. Okay. But unfortunately, her husband died when she was only 25 or 26.
Yeah, that's fine. She got a new one.
Okay. No, Amelia, she may have been heartbroken, probably not. With her husband's death, she inherited a substantial estate.
Yeah, she's not suffering, it's fine.
Where she lived with her two young sons and a great number of serfs.
Okay.
And a serf is a peasant similar to a slave, but they can't be bought or traded.
Right, okay.
But they have no rights over their own bodies. They can't leave the land that they're bound to, and they can only marry with their lord's permission.
Right, okay.
So it's like...
You're kind of trapped.
Yeah. Serfs who occupy a plot of land were required to work for the lord of the manor who owned that land.
Okay. So that's quite common for the time, to be fair.
Yeah. And I was just like, what is a serf? So I was like, okay, I'll put that in there. Because she inherited such a substantial estate, she became the richest widow in Moscow. Soon enough, she gained a considerable power and influence in the imperial administration.
Mm-hmm.
She was a pious woman and regularly donated considerable amounts to churches and monasteries. So
she's
I am
in favour of the church.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to quite like her. So
Yeah.
she's sending the money.
And like this is like why I think her and Elizabeth are so compared to one another, like from start to finish, because they're both born into affluent families.
Yeah.
Their husbands both died.
But they're also charitable.
Charitable. This one is a pious woman. I don't know if Elizabeth was or not. I assume so, because wealth. What's pious?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like godly and church, and I think you attend church all the time.
Papaya.
She might like Papaya. I don't think Papaya was in Russia at this time. We could be wrong. She's wealthy enough. She could have Papaya shipped to her.
Okay.
But no, it's not.
I was a bit distracted when you said it. I was
Pious.
like, what?
Papayas? No, pious. I think is like you're a devout religious person. I could be wrong.
Okay.
That's
we'll go
how.
with that.
Okay.
Either that, or she really has a fondness for papaya.
She does like papayas. So yeah, I think just because they are wealthy, I think, can they get away with what they do or supposedly do? Yeah, of course they can. So there's two versions I stumbled upon.
Okay.
And this is apparently sometimes during the earlier years of her widowhood. Or maybe not. So she began an affair with a young man named Nikolai Tuchev. However, it ended abruptly, leaving her angry and bitter. In another version, some reports say she met him when she was older and he was younger, and this love affair lifted her spirits.
Yeah, I can see that.
She soon learned that Tuchev had a love affair with a young girl and that they were even secretly married in church. In blind fury, Darya nearly killed her unfaithful lover. Tuchev and his wife escaped to his relative's estate in Moscow and soon fled from the region. So whatever happened between her and Tuchev, that seems or may be a catalyst for what happens next.
Okay. So she's gone from being nice and charitable to now she's a bit angry.
Possibly. So there's probably trigger warning, maybe? Okay. So she took out all that anger and bitterness out on her serfs, especially women and girls.
Oh.
She hated them all.
Oh.
Yeah. The younger they were, the more she hated them.
It's because they're youthful.
She treated them as her rivals. She tortured children and pregnant women to death by beating them, breaking their bones, throwing them out of the house naked in the frost, pouring boiling water on their bodies.
Ouch.
Many other vicious and bloody tortures. She would become furious for no apparent reason. At the beginning, she would throw logs at the serf girls, and when she didn't like when they were cleaning. So it's like very simple.
Oh, right, okay.
But like it escalated.
Yeah.
She would beat, whip, torture young girls and women to death. She was a sadist who enjoyed physically abusing her servants. So I think...
She's got a bit of a power trip here as well.
Yeah, whereas this is different to Báthory case, where this is like documented.
Yeah, but they're just lumping it in together, the cases.
Mm-hmm. So many earlier complaints to authorities about the deaths at the Salykova estate were ignored or resulted in punishment for complaining.
Right, okay.
Salykova was well connected with those in power at the Russian royal court and with Russian nobility.
Oh, okay.
So you're wealthy, you can get away with anything,
yes.
Which has not changed. In the summer of 1762, peasant serfs, Saakevly, Martinov, and Emole Ilyin brought a petition before Empress Catherine II. The Empress ordered the College of Justice to begin an investigation regarding torture and murder.
Right.
So I think the Empress is very... from what I know of, I believe she's Catherine the Great.
Right, okay.
So she's very much about law and order. She's very good at that.
Okay.
So Darya was arrested in 1762, which is the same year the petition was brought.
Okay.
And she was held for 6 years until 1768, while the authorities conducted a painstakingly thorough investigation, which I think is probably a good thing. Most surviving victims and witnesses were afraid to give evidence.
Which you would be.
Exactly. But I think that slowly broke down, especially after the 6 years.
You just need that first person.
Exactly. Yeah. And Darya was not admitted mad or ill, so there's no logical reason why she would just do this. So yeah, she wasn't mad or ill, and she didn't seem to care about the terrible deeds she did.
Right.
According to forensic detectives, over the period of 6 to 7 years, Darya murdered by various methods 139 people, mainly women. Only 3 of her victims were men. So the women included young girls of ages 10 to 12. Catherine's College of Justice questioned many witnesses and examined records of the Salykova estate. The investigating official counted as many as 138 suspicious deaths, of which the vast majority were attributed to Darya. She was found guilty of having killed 38 female serfs by beating and torturing them to death, but as the Empress Catherine was unsure of how to punish her because the death penalty was abolished in Russia in 1754, she didn't know what to do, and she needed the support of nobility.
Right, okay.
So finally, on the 2nd of October 1768, a sentence of life imprisonment in the Ivanovsky cloister was handed down to Darya, preceded by a civil execution ceremony on Red Square in Moscow. So this is kind of like getting rid of her title, making her for what she is. So at a public beating in Red Square, she was chained on a platform for an hour in front of the crowd with a sign around her neck that said, "This woman has tortured and murdered." Many people came to look at her while she was being scornfully ridiculed.
I hope they threw stuff at her.
I think they were. I think for what she did, this is like it's a very
light sentence.
But like what's she supposed to do? She needs the what's Catherine supposed to do? She needs the
support from other nobility.
Yeah, but she can't execute this woman because that was taken away.
Which I find is quite unusual.
Yeah.
For that time.
Yeah, because it's like 1754 when it was taken away. This is 1768. I mean, that's early. Yeah.
Did they bring it back? They must have brought it back at some point.
I don't know about that. They might have done because, didn't they... They still executed people, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
It's Russia. I don't know. So yeah, afterwards she was sentenced to life imprisonment in the convent in Moscow.
Oh, so she got to play with the naughty nuns.
Yeah. So but that's what was supposed to happen to Báthory. She was supposed to go to a nunnery, but then they were like, actually, we'll keep her in house arrest because maybe she didn't commit those crimes. We'll keep her in her own house. So yeah, but this one, Darya Salykova, is actually a real person.
Has been proven.
She's committed these crimes.
You can see why they're compared to the two.
Yeah. Because like I said, they both come from nobility. They both inherited a massive wealth from their husbands.
The last lady's, if her crimes had been real, they're kind of similar in the fact that she's tortured people not under her care, but within her household. Mm. So I kind of get why they were compared. But yeah, they're obviously two. They're two women, but also two very different women all at the same time.
It's weird because she's a pious woman and then she's doing all this. And it's like...
It's like one day she just snaps.
Yeah, but is she torturing the women before her husband died and then she finds Tuchev and then...
What, almost a bit like it wasn't really known about before, and then, or maybe she was like doing it but not as severe, if that makes sense. Not that it makes it right, but then after the whole affair thing, it just escalated. Yeah.
I think that's a catalyst. I don't know if it's like the thing that starts her off or that escalates. Maybe I'm assuming she didn't treat these women kindly to begin with.
No, because they're below her.
Yeah, so maybe she was doing the log throwing beforehand. Then she finds out, whether he had an affair or their relationship broke down, and that what made it bitter. So she escalates to torture.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like, it's a bit extreme, if that's your reasoning.
Yeah, why don't you just get rid of all female serfs and then just have male ones?
She probably, because it's probably a power trip, isn't it? Maybe she doesn't like women to begin with.
Because she seems kind of, I know there was a couple of guys that she killed, but she mostly seems okay with men.
Yeah, and I think the men were an accident.
Yeah.
What it does say in some reports, it says that these men were killed accidentally, whereas I think the women were probably accidental too, but they weren't.
Yeah, maybe she didn't, not that what she did was right, but maybe she didn't have the intention of killing them. She just went a bit overboard.
Yeah, and I think she didn't like women to begin with. I think
maybe she was quite a paranoid, or sort of not paranoid. What's the word I'm looking for?
She sees enemies where there are none.
Yeah, but maybe also she didn't have much self-confidence.
Yes.
And so she was always felt a bit threatened.
Yeah.
By other women, so it didn't really take much to sort of push her.
Yeah, and like that's understandable, but it's also like not everyone's out to get you.
No.
Like the woman Tuchev married, he clearly was in love with her. Whether he overlapped or not, he wanted to be with her.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you could take it out
for
monetary.
Do you see what I mean? Like, that betters him, doesn't it?
True. But then I think he was wealthy. I think he's the grandson or a son of a wealthy poet.
Right, okay. I'm just thinking, like, long term, would it sort of stabilise his line then if he managed to have an heir with her?
Yeah. But he could have...
It, like, brings the two together and gets him even more money.
Depending on when their love affair happened, if she was only 25, 26, he could have married Darya. He could have inherited all that because she was the wealthiest widow in Moscow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, he could have... In terms of he's bolstering his already sort of wealthy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's trying to get as much as he possibly...
Yeah, but that only happens if he marries her, not the other woman.
Oh, no, true. Yeah, but maybe that's why he carried on the affair. Maybe he didn't actually want to be with her. Do you see what I mean? Like, most of them then, it was for money. You didn't marry for love, you married for money.
Yeah.
And it was to keep the line, or the stock, if you like. Keep it sort of, I don't know. They like to keep all the wealth in together so they're not spreading it out, and you keep your money effectively. And it's like you've got to at least keep the money you've already got, and if you can, you've got to get more. So, like I said, you sort of go where the money is and you marry where the money is.
But yeah, there was a reason for why she did this to women. Obviously, she didn't like women. I don't know what it was that caused it.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's jealousy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also probably quite a bit of self-consciousness of her on her own part.
Yeah.
So she felt threatened. Interesting. But yeah, I do see why they made the comparison between the two. But to me, they're two quite different women.
Quite different, yes.
But yeah, no, it's interesting. And if you didn't listen to last week's episode,
you should go back. Yes.
And check it out.
So I think this is a good case for like comparing women.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's no need to compare women because if you look at the facts, they're very different.
Yeah. But I think that happens so much when they're not getting, the crimes kind of sound similar.
Yeah, but like we don't compare all male serial killers to each other, do we?
No. No, not really.
It's like you know them for what they are. You don't be like, oh, this guy's like this one.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you don't see it as much, do you?
So yes, so her case is real. Báthory, probably not.
Probably not. Hers was embellished.
Yes, by a man who
happened to have access to her money.
Suspicious.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed that.
Still short one.
Nothing wrong with that. yeah, in the meantime,
Keep creeping.
and we'll keep digging.